welcome to It's in the Cards here at Penn. Hope everybody had a fabulous week, even though we had some events taking place. We had a few famous deaths over the past week. Margaret Thatcher, Annette Funicello, and one or two more that I can't recall off the top of my head. And we, of course, had the bombing explosion at the Boston Marathon this past Monday. I actually didn't even know about it until around close to 10 o'clock Monday night. I was a day off out with my mother at a casino, and when you're in one of those, they don't want you knowing anything that's going on in the world. You're in your own little zone there, no clocks or anything in them. And I had no clue until I had gotten home and got online. And before I could even see anything online, my phone rang, and it was a friend of mine saying, have you been watching it all day? And that's how I found out. Prayers to all of those that loved ones, all the ones that are injured and their families, and those that just may have been there and witnessed it and went through it. Worldwide prayers are out there, and you're in everybody's thoughts. With that, I'm going to introduce, I have two special guests evening with me, not just one. For the regulars, you are familiar with one of the guests. You've been here quite a few times. You're familiar with Tidal. And I have a friend of his, Anita, joining me this evening as well. And the reason I have the two of them is because Tidal has had a radio show, but he has now become a family member here at Penn. And his co-host is Anita. So Tidal has brought his shows and Anita's over here to Penn. He had his first show last weekend, Saturday, but this is the first full week with him. He will be on tomorrow evening at 7 p.m., Pagan Propensities, and at 7:30, Anita follows with Aphrodite's Kitchen. And on Saturdays at 12 a.m., midnight, I said it before I went on the air. Now I'm tongue-tied. Alchemical Artisans Hour is live at midnight Saturdays. So I want to bring both of them on. We're going to let you meet them, get to know them a little bit, introduce themselves, talk to you how they hooked up, how they got into the things that they do, and what you can expect when you tune into their shows. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Hi.
Hi, Tidal. Hi, Anita.
We're great. How are you?
I'm terrific. Welcome to Penn, guys.
Boy, it is a relief. It really is. You know, people have been so nice to us since we came here. And I love the support, the community, the customer service, the warm welcome. People here are just amazing. And I would have never known had we not followed. One day we followed to see a show with Christiana Godet when she was a guest on your show. And I was hooked on your show after that, and you and I became friends, and lo and behold, here we are.
Here you are. See how things happen. The universe just throws things right in our lap, and one thing leads into another. And yes, that was back in December that I had Christiana on.
Mm-hmm.
So it started with her coming on as a guest, and you joined as a viewer, and that's how we met. And I had you on. We became good friends, and now you're here at Penn.
How cool. Synchronicity.
sure is. So that is the story of how Tidal and I met. Now, what's the story, Anita, behind you and Tidal, and how you two hooked up to co-host your show?
Well, Tidal and I met through the Tarot Guild.
Okay.
We had both joined last year, and we started talking to each other, and I gave him a few readings, and one thing led to another. We became really good friends, and he said to me, you know, I've been wanting to do an internet radio show. And I said, oh my goodness, so have I wanted to do that. And we wound up teaming up and doing exactly that.
And here you
and
are.
We've never looked back.
And here you are. Sometimes, you know, the universe gives us subtle clues, and other times they just wham us with the 2x4, don't they?
That's true.
Yes.
So
I would say that this was a 2x4 variety.
Yes. A multiple one, right? So only because I've had Tidal on before, I'm going to start with you tonight, Anita. To let everybody know about you, what you do, how you got started doing readings, and all that fun stuff.
Okay. Well, I started doing readings. Well, I started studying tarot, I should say, on my birthday in 1975. It was my 19th birthday, and I bought myself a deck of tarot cards because I had been longing to do tarot cards or to get involved with tarot cards since my very first reading at age 16, shortly after my 16th birthday. I had had a very good friend who had been reading tarot cards, and she kept promising me a reading, but for one reason or another, we didn't get around to it until after I already had my first reading from somebody else. And that was my high school English teacher, Dr. George, who was a wonderful, wonderful man. And he had an early Rider-Waite deck that was from a rare edition that had off colors. I don't know exactly what year it was printed in, but it was one of the very early first editions.
Wow.
And no doubt very valuable. He gave me a wonderful reading during which he predicted that I would someday become a very good reader in my own right. And I had the great pleasure and privilege to give him several readings in the years following my 19th birthday when I got my first deck, which I still have, by the way.
What was your first deck, a Rider-Waite?
It was a Rider-Waite deck. Yeah. I got it at the college bookstore of the school where I was going.
They had it at the college bookstore, did they? So cool. What, you just self-taught on your own then? Books, or what? Just picked them up and came natural to you?
It was a kit. It was a kit that came with a couple of books, and of course, I brought them back with me to school after Christmas break was over, and somebody there said to me, "Oh, this is a much better book for the purpose," and turned me on to the actual book that was written by A.E. Waite that went with the deck, The Pictorial Key to the Tarot. The two books that came with the original kit were by Eden Gray. And I understand that those are still available and sometimes still packaged in the same way as a kit with the Rider-Waite deck. But the Pictorial Key to the Tarot was my next step, and after that, the Encyclopedia of the Tarot by Bill Butler. And more and more and more after that, I kept on reading and studying and basically reading everything I could get my hands on.
Yeah, they didn't
And
have the internet back then, so the books had to be bought.
that's right.
You couldn't
Yeah,
look this stuff up on the internet.
that's right. And also, tarot lessons uh, were not readily available in every town and village like they are today. I would have had to travel to a large city and take up residence there, or at least have some reliable form of transportation. And I was out in the boonies going to school in a small town, so that was really not practicable.
Right.
I didn't actually take my first tarot class until last year, but I gave tarot classes over the years, lots and lots of them. So it's kind of ironic that I gave many, many tarot classes and had been at it for about 37 years before I even took my first class. And I basically took to see how other people were doing it.
Doing it. Right. Right.
I had never been to a tarot class. I wasn't sure how other people handled their classes, and I was curious to see how it was done. And also, I knew that there was no way that I could get through that class and get out of it without getting something out of it. Basically, I knew, especially considering the person that I was taking the class from, which actually I was taking a class from one of his very advanced students. And it was the 78 Keys to the Tarot, or 78 Days through the Tarot by Marcus Katz. And Janine Worthington was actually the instructor for the class. She handled it very, very well. And the book is very well written. I got a lot out of the class. And what can I say? I've once again turned another page in the saga of my rather long adventure with the tarot cards.
It's an adventure with you in it, isn't it?
Yes, it really is.
Now, do you read only with Rider-Waite, or do you use other decks? Some get just caught up in the one deck and use that all the time, but, we fiddle around with others, collect them. Other times we just grab whichever one's calling to us at the time.
I have 32 decks in my collection now, and I like to cycle around amongst my favorites. I have different decks for different purposes also, depending on the nature of the questions that have been asked. And I've also gotten into some other oracle systems, such as the Psi cards and the Lenormand Oracle,
Right.
which I find very, very useful.
Yes,
They're very different.
getting a lot of attention lately.
Yes.
Here, it's really gone out there.
Yes. And in May, I will have completed my first year of using the Lenormand Oracle cards.
Very good. I have yet to touch them or have any interest in them. To me, it's just like, to me it just popped out like one of those fad things, even though it's not. And I'm not one ever that goes with the crowd. Just because people are doing it, I tend to just, okay, everybody's doing it. It's something I don't want to be doing. Even with technology, my cell phone's just a basic cell phone. I can't text on it, can't get the internet, have no interest in the iPods, iPads, none of that. When you're moving on to the next thing, then I'll get involved and interested in it.
Well, I was what you call an early adopter. It wasn't really a fad at the time that I started, but it was amazing how it caught on very shortly afterwards and started getting rolling and picking up speed. It was like a tumbleweed. It just gathered more and more to it. And now it's a huge, huge trend.
It is.
But when I started it, it was just one of those things that people weren't really into it yet. It was just about to hit.
Right.
So what can I say? If it had been more in fashion at the time, I probably would have turned up my nose and said, but it hadn't happened yet, so. So I identify with what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. Before we go on to Tidal, how can people get a hold of you or read?
You can find me on Facebook. Because there are so many Anita Perez's, you can do a search under Abracadabra Original.
There you go.
And that's basically it. I can also be reached at we have an email address that is dedicated to our radio and now video programs called On the Bridge at angelic.com.
And we'll get into the shows in a bit. We want to say hi to Tidal and introduce him to those that are viewing for the first time this evening and have never had the privilege of meeting you.
Well, Misha, I'm glad you invited us on it. It's really neat. You know, when we first started looking at the different programs, we saw a lot of things that people did really, really well. And we saw a lot of things that we thought, oh boy. And so we learned a lot from everything we saw. But one of the things, we had some false starts. And, but you know, you and I talk, a couple times a week. And so we've talked about some of those things and finding people that are on the same page about really taking care of who you're having on, who you're spending time with, where you're putting your energy. And it's hard to find like-minded people. And finding you was just like finding something wonderful in a desert. And it's just such a joy to be here and do things different. And one of the things I learned importantly, you know, there's so many tarot. Call in a day for a free reading. And sometimes you do that and sometimes you don't. And that's why people come back, because it's not just that. Because there's so much, and I'm not dissing anybody by any means, but there's so many more things out there that people aren't looking into and talking about. And we just wanted to do some of that different stuff kind of in the style that you do.
Yeah, I'm not one for scheduling, for organizing, unless I really, really have to be. And before I was doing this, 4 years ago, I had done radio like you were doing prior to here. And I thought, okay, I sat down very first time, you know, we all go through the trial and error. What works, what doesn't work. And I thought I was going to be really cool and professional and have this whole big outline for the show and what I was doing. Each question figured out ahead of time that the guest was going to be asked. And, well, the first week, I just did like an intro show, let people get used to me. And I thought, okay, it didn't go so well following the outline because, you know, you're nervous. Although there's a big difference, as you're probably finding, between television and the radio. And, you know, you're just talking on a phone and to the screen. No, you know, with nobody there. There was no chat room where I was, like you had. So I was just sitting here talking to a blank computer screen. And you don't know if anybody's there or not. And this, you know, you're live, you're visual. But first time I figured, okay, I messed up the outline and the format because of nerves. Getting used to it. Well, it just kept getting worse and worse. I guess it took me like 3 shows, the second guest, to realize, this just has to be a go with it, on a whim. Whatever happens, happens. Whatever comes up, question-wise, comes up. And that's the way it is. Because, you'd hear the papers crinkling because I'm going through the little notepad and then the pause. And there's nothing worse than a pause when you're a voice only. Mm-hmm. And the pause was because I'm trying to go down the little outline that I have. Okay, I just did that. Oops, I skipped that one. And trying to say what was written down. And it was horrendous. Let me tell you, it was awful. So, yeah, organization with stuff like this, I guess it works for, some, not for me at all. So, tell us about your show. We will start with tomorrow night's shows, since that's on first this week. Pagan Propensities comes on at 7 tomorrow night, Eastern, and then it's followed by Aphrodite's Kitchen. So tell us about Pagan Propensities title.
Okay. When I started Pagan Propensities, I wanted to focus on, there's so many different kind of people in the pagan community. And there's so many interesting things, and I want to pick people's brains and find out why they think the way they do and what's important to them, and find the commonality and focus on those, because I didn't see a lot of that. And I just went with it, and I thought, well, who do I want to talk to? I want to talk to authors. I want to talk to, and so I would just write them. And people were very nice, and I learned pretty quickly to get over being all tripping over myself, giddy, because, oh my God, it's someone famous, and sometimes I still gush a little, but I wanted to just do something different. And so bringing it to video is awesome, because I so appreciate the recording of the audio only to get some practice, to learn some of those things. Except on video, I want you all to know this adds 30 pounds to all of us. We are all 30 pounds lighter than we look. So we're starting Pagan Propensities this week. Aphrodite's Kitchen is going to air next week. We're still kind of getting our things in a row. And then Friday night, we're going to begin our second episode of the Alchemical Artisans Hour.
Yes, Friday night, Saturday morning, because you're on at midnight.
The witching hour.
The witching hour.
And Aphrodite's Kitchen.
Yes, let's talk about the Aphrodite's Kitchen. That sounds so intriguing.
Well, Aphrodite's Kitchen is going to be about personal empowerment and self-esteem, and also do-it-yourself magical concoctions, including skincare and bath products, different kinds of herbal mixtures that you can make for yourself to eat and drink and use on your body, using your house, making incense, making candles, making magic. And it's going to be mostly aimed at women, but we aren't going to leave men out entirely, because we love our men. And
some of them.
It's going to be a big adventure. And we're going to start out with something very special. I've invited a bunch of previous guests from when we were still on Blog Talk Radio. And we are going to have a panel show that I intend to repeat right around the full moon every month. We're going to call it Bitch Night.
I talked over you, sorry.
Oh, we're going to call it Bitch Night.
Bitch Night. Oh, I like that.
The moon. And we're going to share experiences and get down.
What fun.
I call it Girl Talk Run Amok.
So that will be unstructured for sure.
And Tidal gets to be our only guy.
I get to speak for my people.
Yes, there you go. Keep the bitches in line, right?
Well, I don't know. It's a tug of war. It's a.
I thought of him as more like our mascot.
There you go.
There you go. And he
Sorry.
has. I love his mascot that he has.
Madam Lamb
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it. So, Tidal. We didn't discuss. We'll discuss the Saturday night, well, Friday night, Saturday morning, the midnight show. I am my mouth's not working. You can say it. The name.
Sometimes I get it wrong. The Alchemical Artisans Hour.
Yeah, blah.
Well, we wanted something that covered the whole spectrum from people that were interested in the paranormal, Area 51, tarot cards, divination, oracles, just anything that people wanted to know about because people weren't talking about those things. And I thought, wow, I want to know this stuff. And one of the things I think that I learned from the times I've been with you, I don't get too nervous. I pretend, I really do, that I'm sitting at my kitchen table with people I really treasure and care about, and I'm having coffee and coffee cake, and I forget that it's on there. And you know, you get some of the most beautiful unscripted moments that you cannot plan. And it just makes magic if you're in the right place, and it's just been
And
great.
with the right company.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
We're going to take your phone calls for the last part of the show. The phone lines will be opened. If you'd like a tag team reading, we will be doing that. If you have questions for Tidal or Anita or even myself, you can call in with your questions as well. If you want to have questions about the show or anything that Tidal and Anita do, feel free and give us a call. I want to get back a little bit, Anita, on the Aphrodite's Kitchen.
Yes.
Are you going to be doing anything for remedies, like health, natural health, things
Yes.
like that as well with herbs or whatever?
Absolutely. Now, you understand that in the United States, anyway, this is not exactly a friendly environment to herbal medicine. So there are certain legal limitations to what we can say, but within those limitations, we will be running amok. I am a very experienced herbologist and have been making all sorts of things for myself and my friends for many, many years. And I intend to share this knowledge with other people in a manageable fashion. Because a lot of the time, the information that is available online is very, very elaborate and involves ingredients that are either very expensive or hard to get a hold of. And I have found all sorts of ways to cut financial corners on that and make them very economically. Shortcuts where you can actually take a fairly neutral product that is already on the market and add things to it to customize it for yourself.
Very neat. We have a couple comments in the chat room. One person said that they wanted us to know they enjoy all our hats. That came in a little bit ago, like 5 minutes ago. I saw it, but didn't have a chance to bring it up. And Kim has a question for us. Go ahead, Kim. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. What's your question?
You should know what my question is. I got something coming up in 2 weeks. How's it gonna go?
Mm.
Yes. Who wants to start?
Shall we each draw a few cards for you?
I'm shuffling.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if you had a reading question or if you had a question about something with the shows.
Hey, I'm going for the gold when I can.
Okay, I'll start. Very first card that I got is telling me don't be, there's a chance of you being your own worst enemy. Meaning your thoughts, the wands is the fire element, and it's the extension of the swords. Swords is the thoughts and the ideas, and the wands is the fire element and putting them forth. And there's a lot that's going to be going on, a lot that you're going to be doing. You're responsible for this whole thing. You're going to be taking it all on your shoulders. And that can cause you to entrap yourself, your own thought process and things. So don't, this is a warning, don't act on it. Don't let those thoughts and stuff put a fire in you where you just maybe act rashly or without thinking something through because it needs to be done, or letting somebody get on your nerves and fire you up. This is a warning for you for that. But the following two cards, this shows, you know what you're doing. It might be the very first time personally doing it to the extent that you are, but you're the master. This is Pentacles. This is the master. He's sitting here. He can do his job. Make the pentacle designs and things blindfolded with his eyes closed. Calm, relaxed. He's in charge. He knows what he's doing. And the Ace of Swords is the final card, and that is what was coming off of the first card with the fire. Entrapped, don't let your own new thoughts and ideas or anxieties. That's because, you're going to have, with this big type of a thing, you're going to have a few unexpected things, or people not following through or doing what you think they were doing. And you don't want to trap yourself with the chaotic thoughts that you have going on in your head. Who wants to go next? Anita or Tidal? Alphabet. Anita, go ahead.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Well, my first card that I drew was the Page of Cups. And immediately after that came the Page of Pentacles reversed. And immediately after that came the Wheel of Fortune reversed. The way that I read, I feel that the most important thing is the interaction between the cards. Okay? The way that they relate to each other. What I see here is that there will be others who will be following your example and watching very closely what you do. One of them will take the lessons very much to heart, will understand where you're coming from, and will profit from it. The other, however, I think is a bit more of a stodgy individual who may be offended by a little bit of straying outside the lines, and may not take so well to the situation. Try to be patient. These are both either young individuals who are relatively unexperienced, with unformed opinions, but this also may be two sides of yourself that are perhaps a little bit in conflict. The person who really, really wants to follow structure and the person who wants to go with the flow. And the one who wins out will be the person who goes with the flow because they have the necessary flexibility and also the simpatico part of them that feels for the situation and allows instinct and intuition to guide them. Now, the Wheel of Fortune reversed means that this is a time in the tide of things when the flow may not seem to be going your way. Don't be too attached to immediate outcomes. Don't be too attached to signs that along the way that are perhaps not what you were looking for. The more that you can stay in the center of the process and stay centered within yourself, the better off you will be. Because the wheel always comes around. This too shall pass. In the way that this card is positioned, Anubis on the edge of the wheel is facing away towards the future. So there will be other forces and influences that will be joining in the process after the immediate scope of this reading, which I would say is probably pretty short term. Be aware that this is a neutral thing. It can go either way depending on how you handle it. Just be ready for this other influence coming into the situation. And that is basically it. Tidal?
I pulled some cards for you, Kim, and I've got some good news. And they really fall in line with what everyone else had. I pulled a star, and that's a great opportunity because you've been planning this and you're going to put some of these ideas and inspiration into practice. The second card is the Two of Cups reversed. And that's not bad because the card that follows that is the Strength card. And what that really tells me, the impression that I'm getting, is you're going to be dealing with a lot of strong, powerful personalities. You're going to get an excellent amount of opportunities to use your people skills. And you're going to feel like a border collie going around and around and around. And the thing that's going to pull this through is you know how to deal with people and how to talk with people. And you know how to motivate people. And the good news, even though it's going to be a lot of work, the card that comes after it is 1, 2, 3, 4. The 8. You know what? I cut the numbers off, and I have to count them. But you know what? It's 8 of Wands, and this is really good because even though it's going to be a lot of work, everybody there has the best goal of the whole thing, and everybody's on the same page, moving in the same direction, even if they're not exactly the same. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be awesome.
Thank you.
Can I add a little something in there?
If it's good.
When the 8 of Wands is involved, that means that once the process gets rolling, it will go very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's a lot about cooperation, and you're going to have that.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm just in that 2 weeks ahead of time starting to freak out thing, so.
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's gonna be fine. It's the head stuff that I picked up. You're already doing it.
Yeah, I know. Well, thank you all.
You're very welcome, Kim.
My pleasure.
The, why don't we talk a little bit about how you got involved in all the rest of the things that you're doing, Anita, for your show?
Well,
came first, chicken or the egg? In this case, the tarot or the whatever.
Really, the tarot and my self-dedication to the pagan path came at the same time.
You
my interest.
You weren't raised pagan then?
No, I was raised fundamentalist Methodist, of all things. In a very, very conservative family. But I always knew that there was something very different in store for me. From the time I first really started wondering about spirit and life and death and all those sorts of things, which I actually did at a very early age. And I scared my parents to death. They absolutely did not know what to do with me or what to make of me. Because constantly saying things like, "You have laryngitis." And then they would turn out that, what seemed to be a simple sore throat and hoarseness turned out to be laryngitis. Or some lady had a special glow about her, and I was like, "Oh, goody, you're going to have a baby." And
Okay, so what did you know? Do you have psychics in your family? Obviously, since you freaked your parents out, it wasn't something that was already, family members being used to. So what did you realize first? That you just knew things? Do you see auras in people? What exactly is it that you pick up?
Well, I see things. I can see auras under certain conditions. I can see thought forms, and I can actually see like little symbolic. It's almost like watching cartoons. It sounds really stupid, but it's almost like watching cartoons. It's like a little movie that comes out of a person's head. Sometimes the person doesn't even have to be there.
And what is that when you get that? Is that their thoughts? Is it images of something upcoming for them that
too
is happening, or what?
That too. It's very, very varied, and it's hard to predict, or it's really difficult to explain.
Right. It is.
The first time that I really realized that I was seeing something that other people weren't seeing, I was about 4, and I was seeing auras around people, and I was in Sunday school, as a matter of fact, and I said to the Sunday school teacher, "You must be a very good person because you have a halo." And she said, "People don't have halos." And I said, "Yes, they do. Look, right here." And I opened my children's illustrated Bible and pointed to a picture that showed people with halos, and I said, "See?" That those are only special people like Jesus and saints. And she hesitated because she realized that as a Methodist, she wasn't really supposed to talk about saints.
Right.
I remember that. And I was like, "No, I see your halo. You have a halo. You must be like Jesus and the saints." And oh boy. Well, she went to my parents and told them that I was seeing things, and my parents were already a little bit uneasy. Said and done already. So that did not go over very well.
Well, when we're done on the show, you need to go to my Facebook page. There's a photo. It was taken last year at the Reader's Studio. I was in the lobby. Lon Duquette had peeked his head in. I felt a presence because I was sitting right at the door, and I turned around, and it was him paying a visit. So I went out in the hallway with Farrell and grabbed my camera, and the three of us were out there chit-chatting, and we were doing picture time. And Farrell took a picture of me and Lon at the door, and at first, you always question everything. Is it the light reflections and things? But no, around the both of us, all the way around, head to toe, is, I guess it's our aura. It's a misty, one part at my hand and foot. I look and I'm thinking, I can't move, because it looks like that movement when the picture's taken and you catch somebody in movement. And I was standing perfectly still, and you can see it's at the shoulders and every place else. Let me know what you think of that when you get a chance to look at it.
Definitely.
I did have an aura reading through one of those machines. Are those accurate?
I really don't know. I've never seen one or had anything to do with one, so...
Okay. What they had told me was it's accurate for the sense of, because your outer layer aura change is the one that changes depending on mood.
Yes.
But the inner one is the main color, and they're saying that one doesn't change. Anyway, on that day, whether it's my permanent one or the day of, mine was an orangey yellow. I don't know if that's what it actually is or not, but that's what came up on the camera picture. We're running out of time, so I want to hit on Tidal.
Yes. Can I just say one thing, and that is that the inner layers do change, but much more slowly than the outer layer.
Oh, do they?
And they change with the state of your health and with long-term changes that you make in your life.
Okay. All right.
So
I'll have to have you on just yourself so we can discuss all of this stuff.
okay.
Tidal, want to touch with you and tell a little bit about yourself to the viewers out there so they can find out about you a bit before tuning into your shows and get to know you. How did you start out?
In real life, I've been reading tarot for a while, and I started studying again seriously in the last couple of years. I'm a pagan person, but I pray well with everybody. I find a lot of peace in that. I find something that doesn't give me a lot of empty promises, and it gives me something that gives me the opportunity to own my life, to take responsibility for things. I find it empowering, and it calls me to a standard because it's coming from in here. That's no matter where you look, the answers are always in here. You know what? These are just tools. They're just tools. And they're not magic. They're just tools. And the magic's in here, and you got to look and find that. And that's a lot of the things we talk about.
Yes, I love your short bio things that you have in there. And you mentioned that in it. The magic's within. We do have the answers. We just we don't believe what that gut instinct is and those feelings at times, or we just don't hear it or see it because we get so personally involved, so emotionally involved, that we just don't trust what you're thinking is going on.
Sometimes you just need a different perspective, someone to point something out to you that you might not have known. You just might need a tarot tune-up.
Right. A tarot tune-up. I like that. You come up with the neatest things. We have only 4 minutes left, so Tidal, what would you like to say to everyone? And give out your contact info as well with the website.
Okay, I'll make it quick. If you want to reach me, you can look for Tarot Tidal on Facebook. Don't Google me. There's all kinds of stuff out there for places you have to work doing this. If you want to know who I am, look me up on Facebook and ask me. You can reach me at tarottitle@gmail.com. I want to thank everybody that's watching and everybody that's here. I want to thank Misha for having me, because you know what? I consider you a friend. I value you. I treasure you. And for you to just open up your program like that and embrace us and Eric and everybody, I just want to thank you, because it means a lot.
Feelings mutual. And your show can be seen starting tomorrow night, Pagan Propensities, at 7 p.m. Eastern. Anita, give out your info for everybody and your quick message.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. It was a pleasure. Either one of us can be reached in matters concerning the radio show or this TV show at onthebridge@angelic.com. For email, you can find me on Facebook look up Abracadabra Original. And what can I say? You can hear us here on the air. You can catch Aphrodite's Kitchen starting next week with Bitch Night. And Howl at the Moon with us.
I will have to be there. I've been called a bitch and a lot worse, so I will be.
You have an open invitation to come and howl with us.
I'll take you up on that. I appreciate it, and it's such a pleasure and honor that, Anita, that I got to meet you through Tidal, and that the universe through Tidal my way. Girl, you're terrific. And welcome to Penn. I'm glad you were able to find your home here. And
Thank you.
I can be reached on Facebook. I'm Terror by Misha. TerrorByMisha.com is the website. Terror by Misha at AOL. Kind of made a big Terror by Misha thing so that I could be easily found. The show, it's in the cards, also has a Facebook page, so you can hook up there, stay up to date on the shows and the archive links as well. And if you have any questions or anything for an upcoming show that you would like discussed, or an author or a deck, feel free and write me and let me know, and I will do my best to do a future show on it. I'm going to see about doing a show on occasion, maybe once a month, a free show where I don't have a guest on, and it's just me and you guys one-on-one, and readings and posing your questions. If you email them to me, if you're shy and don't want to call in during the show, I'll gather them up and I can ask them on the show for you and keep it anonymous as well. I hope everyone has a safe, healthy, wonderful week. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow. I have a show that follows me, so you don't want to go anywhere. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., you can see Tidal and Anita live. Till next week, good night.